and welcome to Thursday Night Fire. We are glad to be back into the house on tonight, and tonight you're in for a treat because to my left is Apostle Craig Coates. We are glad to have you here with us on tonight. And so as he comes into the frame to say hello, I encourage you to get into the chat room, send our apostle a shout out, get some watch parties going, get
everybody.
folks tuned in. We are excited for
What's
Thursday
happening?
Night Fire.
Yeah, what's happening? Good to see y'all tonight. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All
yeah.
right. And then to my right, we have Pastor Tanya, our wellness pastor. How are you on tonight?
I am so well, sis. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you as well. And to her right, we have Evangelist Theo. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Good. All right. We're looking for some fire. And to my left at the far end, we have Prophet Damien. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
All right, Prophet. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And then next to Prophet Damien, we have Pastor Valerie, our women's pastor. How are you this evening?
I'm good, Pastor. Good to be here.
Good. Glad to have you here. And right next to her is Pastor Connie, our new members pastor, our intercessory pastor, and our pastor of pastors. How are you, Pastor Connie?
I am blessed. I'm fine.
All right now.
Sitting next to the apostle. So I'm great.
I'm sitting next to the fire on both sides.
So again, start to text somebody, send someone a chat, say, get into this group, get onto the watch party, tune in, get onto our website and live stream, go to the Facebook page, whatever you need to do to tune in for tonight's message. You know, we've been talking about draw the line, necessary boundaries, and Sunday for Father's Day, we hit part 3. And Apostle challenged us and has been challenging us to take a moment to evaluate where we sit in life. And guess what? Guess where it starts? It starts with evaluating who you are, so that self-awareness, self-reflection, and then to start to look at how are you creating balance in your life. In fact, I want to remind you of a scripture he gave us on Sunday, which was Proverbs 12:15. And it says, this is the Message version. And I love the Message version at times because it's just straight and hits you, and all you can do is say, ouch. And the word says, fools are headstrong and do what they like. Wise people take advice. And so what we're talking about on tonight is practically how do we draw boundaries, but more importantly, how do we start to take that deep look at ourselves and see ourselves the way that we need to see ourselves so we can do the necessary work to establish the boundaries in our lives. So on that note, I'm going to open it up because I know that these pastors and apostles have some opening comments before we get into the thick of things.
So my first question is, my first question is, did you take the self-exam? That's, y'all know where I'm going. I ain't wasting my breath. If you didn't take the test, we can't have this conversation. Because the point I wanted to make is that mental wellness, mental health, it is essential to your spiritual well-being, your emotional, your social. We have a serious mental health crisis these days. And a lot of it in the church because we haven't talked enough about, we don't use enough of those tools. And so one of the reasons why I chose the PVA self-examinations, because one, it's a good one. It's based on your own values. And it can help you to kind of see areas of weakness and strength, etc. And it's the first step toward counsel, that we all need to take wise counsel. You know, wise don't mean that everybody that counsels us is a tongue talker, but a degree and experience. It's very helpful in the church. So that was my first thing. I just know y'all took that self-examination. You went on that line and you took that test. So that's where I start off is, did you take that test? Because if you took that test, and if you're really honest with yourselves, you should got back some results and things to work at, things to improve perhaps, or maybe you A-okay, that's great, then you can talk to me. So that's kind of where I wanted to start it, to kind of know what everybody's experience was with taking the test. Any one of y'all can talk up first. Everybody want to talk at the same time.
Yeah, for me, I didn't realize, but it said to me that I am a people's person.
Yes.
But I tend to worry about what people think a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so it really read me like a book.
It read me too.
Yeah,
It stretched me right out with no offering.
Yeah. And
I was stretched out. Yeah. So you got that piece about your potential fear area.
yes.
Fear of how people may like you or not. Yes. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Anybody else want to talk about what you got?
Well, I found out that I'm a selfless person,
Okay.
and I didn't necessarily like that.
Okay.
Putting others before myself and always preferring them says something about me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether or not our wellness pastor can attest, but it says something about your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I looked at that and I started doing the work and, and tweaking. It doesn't come overnight. Some of us, we cannot help for the diagnoses we may have, but what we can do is we can change it. And that's the good part about it. So I would encourage you to please take that test.
You know, one of the things I like about what you just shared, Pastor Connie, was the element of doing the work, right? And, you know, I likewise took the assessment, and one of the things that I don't know if anyone else had that experience as I did, that when I got to the limiting behaviors, I was confused because I didn't necessarily see anything there. But one of the things, being a person that has given those type of assessments to others, one of the things that I will encourage us to remember is that though you don't see anything in that category, anything that comes out, there's a positive and negative to that particular element, even if it seems to be a positive trait. Like we may look at selflessness, because I share that same issue with you, Pastor Connie. I'll do for everyone else. That's a great thing. However, it's not if it's from the place of neglecting myself and putting myself secondary. And one of the things that I remind us about, and that Apostle said on Sunday, was stop allowing ourselves to take the back seat.
Yes.
And that's a huge element to think about, because that was the eye opener for me when I took my own assessment, was how many times I put myself, my feelings, my emotions, my desires on the back seat to make sure everybody else is taken care of.
That's good. Yeah.
Valerie, you done took all the words that I had in my mouth. No, I'm just kidding. But that was, I was right where you were. You know, that piece of well, where was my limitless piece? You know, I looked at that, and it's so interesting, and I shared even in the beginning how sometimes we're so adapt to hearing the negative.
Yeah.
And this is the piece that stuck out for me. I'm so used to where I've been criticized and where I've done things the wrong way and where I missed the mark. And in doing so, taking this test, I kept looking for, well, where's the part where I missed, and where's the wrongdoing, and where's the critical side of it, that I had a hard time accepting the information that was accurate. It was still accurate, but I still kept looking for the floor to drop from under me. And so that is what kind of helped me to recognize, okay, Tanya, you are on the track where you need to be, and know that sometimes that might not be the situation where
Yeah.
you're looking at that critical side. So
Oh, we're going to drop the floor from under you tonight.
you know what?
Yeah, I like what everyone said. You know, I don't have much to add. You know, taking the test is definitely important. You know, to see where you're at. You know, and I also make sure that I pray about everything that is said about me or I see about me, just so I can, you know, just submit to what God says about me at the same time. So taking the test is definitely good. You know, but I also make sure that I go back to the Father and see what He says about me, so I don't trip over anything else.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I want to know if anybody had the same problem I had. Well, I have to admit that I had to go back and take it like 2 or 3 times. You know, and one thing that stuck out was, like you said on Sunday, take it honestly, according to where you really are and not where you want to be. Because I have to admit, I stumbled over that, you know. And as it relates to boundaries, I do understand why some of the boundaries that I call myself having in life, I haven't been able to enforce because of that
Yeah.
people pleasing.
Yeah, I kind of, I wanted to make sure, just my thoughts in this sermon was I wanted to make sure that people understand why you should take an assessment. that's designed that way. And like Theo said, those tests are good, and it doesn't mean that's solely what you base your responses on. I mean, you can go to a counselor who may not be a good counselor for you.
Yeah, that's so true.
They may be biased. I know I went to one.
been there.
They got all in my face, and it was about to be a fight up in there, but I had to realize you got to be very careful, because sometimes a person's credentials can cause you to think that their word is truth. Right. And so there are a lot of pieces, but I think the goal was that you become more aware of yourself.
Yes.
That you become more aware of who you are by looking at yourself and if reflecting and answering questions honestly about yourself. And as I said before, you have to answer the questions as honest as you can be with yourself. We're so busy checking the box for what should be said rather than what is. And so if you found yourself scratching out and going back, that's good. That meant that you are thinking a little more critically about yourself rather than checking all the right boxes. And so I wanted to make that clear. But I really wanted to make this clear that the purpose of you getting to know yourself better is so that others will begin to respect the person that you ascribe to be versus the person that that has been a performer for everyone. A lot of us perform for people. We perform to get accepted. We perform to stop from having issues. We perform so there'd be no trouble at the river, as my grandma used to say. You know, and when you come face to face with being aware of yourself and that you do these things, you will put less blame on others for trespassing and take more responsibility for not drawing the line.
Well, you know, Apostle, there's a phrase that is said, we teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
We teach people how to treat us. So sometimes we allow those lines to be crossed because for whatever reason or however we're choosing to operate, we give them that pass. And so when we give them that pass or when they do it, and then we set a boundary, it's hard for them to come back and say, well, why are you acting like that? You know, why all of a sudden this is the scenario? But doing the assessment allows us, like you said, to recognize that we do have a boundary and that we have let that boundary go by the wayside. And now we have to redo what the other piece that you spoke to, which is let people know when we've shifted so that they know how to now operate within this new line that we've drawn.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, even before you talk to someone else, you have to deal with you.
Yes.
That's the key. It blows my mind how much we all say we want this series, Unnecessary Boundaries, but you got to want to do the work too. Like you shouldn't have to be reminded over and over to take a self-exam, a test that's free. You know, people need to go talk to doctors and sit down and talk. But this is kind of the shortcut to look at yourself, get a snapshot, and then look at how others behave toward you and how you have responded to that behavior. And be very honest with yourself, and so that you can see, oh, okay, so this is why so-and-so just keeps treating me this way. It's really because I have not drawn the line about this, and perhaps because I haven't decided even for me that this is a problem that I play a part in. There are some folks in my life who just see me like they saw me when I was 12 years old, I think, honestly. And I have avoided being around them a lot because they're family, they're close to me, but it's like they have this image. But then I realized in taking the test, but you never drew the line and said to them, cut it. You're no longer to talk to me this way or treat me as if I'm 12, because I'm not. And of course, that all comes from fear of confrontation, which goes back to really what Damien said about being liked. I realized that that was one of my biggest pieces to work on, is being concerned about what people think about me in terms of image and liking me, you know, likeness and image. And I know we could quote scriptures all day long. I can do that. But it doesn't take away the work we have to do. I think we quote scriptures sometimes to avoid the work. And yes, the scripture is true. greater is he that's in me, but who am I that he's in me? You know, how can the victorious one be in me and I be so defeated? Talk to me.
Apostle, you know, when we started this series, and I'll say this, for me, when I heard the title, Draw the Line, Necessary Boundaries, my natural response and expectation was it was about everybody else.
Yes.
Right.
It was about everybody else. And what this series has done for Valerie is helped me to understand that drawing the line was for me to draw it for myself.
Yes.
You
To
draw it
say,
for you.
let me draw it for me. Valerie, no longer will you put off being true to yourself
That's
and
right.
being
Right.
true to who you are. And it goes back to that aspect of what is it that I need? What is it that I deserve? What is it that I believe about myself? How do I feel about how things are shaped and formed around me? Because I will speak, you know, for me, I'm going to be honest, Apostle, I did not realize my level of resentment and anger about how some things had happened in my life, nor did I realize that I lacked defining those boundaries for myself until life became so chaotic and such a mess that I had to pause and be like, wait, it's easy to put the blame on other people, but really the blame sat with me
Yes,
because
Lord.
I had not drawn the line. I was not true to myself.
Yeah.
I was busy performing and being who everybody else thought I
Needed you to
should be
be.
and needed me to be, that I neglected the person that should have mattered to me the most, which
Oh
was
yeah,
me.
yeah. And oftentimes people who are selfless don't think of yourself.
So true.
Right.
Now you got your ego. Go ahead, talk to
Yeah,
us, Pastor.
I'm glad that you went back to that because I want you to help me right here.
Okay.
There's a common thread that seemingly that I'm hearing, especially from the females, about the selfless.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because we are nurturers
Yeah.
and we have children, I think that's where that selfless piece comes in, Apostle. Because even with our children, some of us may be overcompensating for maybe the male that's not there or the lack of finances. They don't, you know, you send your child out to school and they want to look like somebody else and you can't do that for them, you know. And so you find yourself overcompensating. You just do and you do and you do. And so I think that maybe that selfless is legit. I mean, there is a place for that.
There's a place
in the life
for
of
it.
the female.
There's a place for it as long as it does not begin to distort your view of you. You know what I mean? Like it's
That's
like
good.
I'm selfless for sure.
Yes,
I'll give you the
yes.
shirt off my back, but sometimes I don't need to give the shirt off
Yeah,
my back.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming to
I
now for me.
understand.
That I was taught to always give it.
Yes.
But now I'm realizing maybe you don't have a shirt for a
Yeah.
reason, and before I give you mine,
Yeah.
it might be better to figure out why you don't have yours.
So draw the line.
You
Yes.
draw the line.
Draw the
Yes.
line.
And to be honest, it's an everyday practice, right? Because some days I'm like, okay, the tendency to go back to just allowing things and giving is there. It's a real thing. But there's some moments where I have to pause and be like, Valerie, take a moment. No, be true to you. Be fair to you. This is not, don't allow folks to treat you a particular way. You have to draw that line. And that's an everyday walk for some of us. I know for me it is. It takes me in every interaction trying to make that decision for myself and what's
Yes,
best.
yes.
And for me, it's an everyday walk within myself.
Yeah.
Within
So
yourself.
my issues are not always what others are doing to and or for me. It's what I choose to not
Yes.
allow myself to experience.
Yes.
And even something as small as with my car, I share for some people, like, I settled. I was like, no. I'm just gonna this is what I want, but you know, Tanya, you gotta be rational. You gotta be, it's not that I could not afford something more, and I'm not trying to be like anybody else, but for me, I chose to digress to, well, you gotta make sure you take care of this and make sure you take care of that. And I was like, wait a minute, I do all of those things. Why am I putting a boundary on my own self, right? And so I had to go back and I said, you know what? I am okay to do
Yep.
X, Y. It's okay to tend to yourself.
Yep.
It's okay to be, you know, to reach out for
Yep.
more. It is okay.
Right,
And so again, I speak out to those that sometimes are sheltering your own self from the desires that you are capable from reaching. Sometimes that is something that you need to just be thinking on, not only who is keeping you from what you want, but you keeping you from what you want.
May I say this? Because I
Yes,
want to hear
sir.
from Theo down there.
Yeah.
Because when you talked about treating yourself, and I saw him perk up. But I just want to say this though. But we have to find that the things we treat ourselves to have to be within reason.
Within reason.
Of what it does for us, and whether we feel we are rewarding ourselves, or are we creating an image for others to reward us. Because sometimes we're doing things, like I'm an overachiever. I found out many years ago that I keep achieving, but I was looking for certain people who validate, mother, father. You know, I'm talking about these roles
Yeah.
that TV told us. These,
Yeah.
you know, Brady Bunch was my family.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be the
seventh
seventh child, and they'd be trying to figure. I'd probably still be on TV. How she get a kid that dark? You know, I wanted to be the seventh child because television created a scenario of what a perfect family
Yes,
is.
it did.
But you don't really see the behind the scenes. And for us growing up, television helped create
Yeah.
that culture for me. Ebony Magazine created a culture for me. Jet Mag, you know, all of the things helped build me to be very proud to be black. But I can't say that I also did not have an expectation of parents.
Sure.
And by my father not being present per se, you know, he always told others he was proud of me, but he didn't tell me he was proud of me. And what I needed was for him to say he was proud of me. So I made it my goal to establish and reach every goal in life and go above and beyond, be the top, the best at everything, because I was really looking for that approval. You know, yeah. Go ahead, talk to us, Theo.
Yeah, and I used to look for approval a lot when I was younger. But I realized that you can't get approval from everyone.
Not everyone.
Like, but you can only get the approval that you really want the most are those who really love you. Like love you past your flaws. I think when I was in high school, me and my brother were so close. We used to fight a lot growing up. When I was in high school, he was right behind me, and he looked up to me, and we were so close. And we looked to each other for approval because we saw all our flaws. We saw each other's flaws, but we loved each other despite our flaws. So rather than looking at, you know, my parents who I thought were so critical of me, and who I felt like they didn't see, you know, that I was good enough, I felt so much better looking to my brother, because he didn't just see my flaws. He acknowledged my flaws, but he saw the best in me, no matter how many mistakes I made. So after that relationship really changed my entire life, because after he died, I realized how important that is to have someone who realizes your flaws, but he wouldn't even mention my flaws to me. Like people will always mention where I'm wrong every single second of the day. They would put me on this high standard I could never achieve. But I felt so safe with him because he never expected me to be anything anything that I couldn't be. So I found myself, my identity was really found in him when I was in high school. And I found I was looking for myself because I lost so much of me in him, because he was my mirror.
Yes.
He was the person who I saw. And the Bible says that the word of God is the mirror. And when a man who walks away from the word is like a man who forgets what he looks
What
like.
he looks like.
So I try to find myself in the word, because I couldn't find myself in people, because the one person I had was gone. That one voice I had was gone. But when I found God's voice, I remember the night I found God's voice, I was crying and I was broken, and he spoke to me. And he like told me that I was a king. I never heard it like that before. But when I started finding my word, how like I'm royalty, like my brother used to call me king growing up. I did not know that he was a prophet.
That's amazing.
I thought he didn't understand. But when I found myself, there are so many people trying to find their identity, and I see people going through like like a house of mirrors, just going through mirrors. And there's so many different types of mirrors you can walk past.
Right.
And different mirrors can be distorted, and some mirrors can make you look fat, some mirrors can make you look small,
Right.
and some can really exaggerate. Some people have exaggerated opinions of you, like, oh, you should be this because you this, or you should be that because you look this way, or because you have a certain type of car, or because you have a certain type of title, or because you've been in the Lord for this much. So people have this inflated image of you
Yes.
that I found myself walking through so many different people's opinions of me. And there was one mirror that I saw. His name was Jesus. His name is Jesus. And when I saw Jesus, I thought about how people, people in my generation, we take selfies in the mirror. That's really big. Especially women, they take selfies in the mirror.
Women only? No, it's not just women.
I mean, everybody does.
Oh,
you know what I'm
boy.
saying? But it's really prevalent.
Yes.
And one thing I realized is, like, it doesn't matter how good you look. If the mirror is dirty, then you're going to look dirty. But when I found Jesus, I found Jesus as if I used to take pictures of myself. I used to see myself in a dirty mirror for so long, because every time I revealed my heart to people, my deeper secrets to people, all they saw was my dirt. But when I went to Jesus, he decided to wipe away all of my dirt.
Yes.
And he became my righteousness. He became the clear picture of who he called me to be.
And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful example that you share, and you have tremendous insight. I want to, however, pull us back to relationships for a minute. Because God made us all to be relational. And as Theo shared, the amazing relationship with your brother, and I witnessed that relationship with you guys. I wanted to make sure through this test that we focus on the relationships and see them for what they really are for us. You know, there are people who I had to realize that who they are to me is not necessarily what I need them to be to me. And I had to make a decision: do I continue to accept what they give, or do I make it clear this is not what I need?
Yeah.
You know, and this self-examination, the purpose of this exam is to also help you understand what you need from relationships with people, what you value. You know, if you need someone who's honest, that's a value that needs to be communicated. And not only communicated, but communicated with consequences and with limits. You know, this is where I draw the line, et cetera, et cetera. These things are things that have to be communicated, but you can't communicate it until you know that's what you want.
Yes.
And talk
I'm
to
sorry.
me,
Can I jump
Val.
in there? I'm so glad you went there, because one of the things that have stuck to me since Sunday, I'm telling you, that really, really resonated, is when you spoke about how you had to sell yourself as a bishop to your wife. Not sell yourself, but the way you said, like, she didn't just take me in that capacity just because that's what I was.
Right.
I had this, and God dealt with you about that.
Yes, yes.
I love it, and I thank God for not
It's the
being able
truth.
to put it in words, but it's just that way. Listen, there are some people that I need in this capacity and some in that, and
Right.
it doesn't matter what you branded yourself as.
Right.
You know, you're not invited to my life in that capacity. I'm not going to give you invitation to
That's right.
this. And I like the way you put that, Sunday, because it helped me. That's why I took a test 3 and 4 or 5 times. I
Yes.
realized that sometimes you're right. We can go through life a certain way and forget that's not who you are.
That's not who
this
you
is
are.
who you are. This is who you are. And it's so good because, listen, here you have friends. I have friends that say, now, you know I did that. Why didn't you come to me for that? Because I don't want you in that capacity. Okay, you do taxes. I hired this. I'm just giving that as an
Right,
example.
right.
Just because you claim it don't mean I want you in my life in that capacity.
That's right.
I have this. I have that. And I have to
Mm-hmm.
be honest, is after I got to, you know, I'm just saying, I thank God for Theo taking us there about life. You know, when you find yourself in a new status in life after 30, 40, 50-something years of being one way, and you realize, I got to define who I am. Really, I've been all this time saying I like this, but I don't really like that. I don't really want you. I don't really want this. I don't really want that. I have to tell you, after taking the test, I realized, you know, you open yourself up to some things, and I don't necessarily want this person in my mental health. Or that, I have an avenue for that. I have a capacity for that. You know, and so I thank God for you putting it that way.
And that speaks also to sexual relationships and
Absolutely.
intimacy. That you know, intimacy creates a bond with people that is deeper than most people realize. And when you develop those bonds, and share yourself, you're sharing yourself sometimes with someone who doesn't even know who you are. They know who you are in the bed, but they don't know who you are when the covers are gone.
Come on
You
now.
know, I think that it's not so much that we need to preach, you need to wait till you get married. I think we need to preach, you need to wait till you marry yourself and love you enough to know what sharing yourself with someone really means, you know, because there's a lot more than physical in sharing yourself sexually. There is a lot more than just the physical. Yes, talk to me.
You know, Apostle, I need to be transparent here since Pastor Valerie said something. You spoke about, and Pastor Melvin and I, well, Melvin and I do it all the time. He calls me Pastor
Wait a minute,
Connie.
y'all. What? Okay,
Right,
wait.
right.
I'm sorry.
That segue was real interesting for a minute. Okay.
What did I
I was
do?
no.
What did I
Go ahead,
do?
keep going, Pastor.
Okay.
Because I was ready to say, Pastor, we don't need to know all that right here. But no, I get it. I didn't know where you
No,
say
I
I'm gonna
wanted
be
to
transparent.
I
Me
need
and
to
Pastor
confess.
Melvin do
Right.
it all the time.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's good because y'all look
No,
great.
I didn't mean that.
I hope
I
me and
didn't mean it
Sharia
like
that way.
No,
Except me.
what we do.
Okay, all right.
You hit the nail on the head Sunday. I'm sorry. Well, that
Oh
was just
God,
a
help me,
moment.
Jesus.
You hit the nail on the head Sunday when you talked about you and Cherie, and you know, when you go in the house, you're Craig.
Yes.
You're not Bishop.
I'm not.
And of course, in our relationship, Melvin always calls me Pastor Connie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so on Sunday, when you brought that to us, I said to him, I said, Melvin, we need to work on that.
Wow.
But and I want you to know that something magical happened as a result of
Wow.
us making that shift. And with him calling me Connie, I felt like Connie.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
understand what I'm
yeah.
saying?
That's so good.
I felt like Connie.
Yes.
And you know, it was just magical. And I say, oh my
Oh,
God.
that's so amazing.
And so when I said to him, I said, you know, what Bishop said to us, I say it's important that we stay on this path. I say it's because as long as you call me Pastor Connie, that's who I'll be to you. You know, and nothing
Yes,
more.
right,
You
right,
understand what
right.
I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes, yes.
Because when you talked about the bed chamber,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not going to be Pastor Connie in there.
That's right. No,
You
indeed.
understand? And so
Unless you dressing up or something like, you know.
No, I'm not wearing my collar. God, you help us here tonight.
That'll be for an adult session. We'll go. Go ahead.
But I thank you so very much.
This
I
is such a blessing.
We have done that for so long.
Yes.
That I forgot all about Connie.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it helped me to realize and to take me back to Connie.
Yes,
So good.
because you know what you
Because
realize is that church trespass your boundaries of
Yeah,
home.
that's good.
Oh,
We
God.
we brought church home when church needs boundaries too.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Church needs boundaries because if church doesn't have boundaries, kids grow up resenting being a pastor's kid. Adults grow up feeling like they've never had a life. Vacations are never vacations because church, as much as we give it, it takes it. Anything that takes your boundaries will only take as much as you give. Nothing that takes your boundaries away says, oh, well, maybe I need to really stop right here. After all, you know, Connie. No, it's boundaries when they're taken, whatever it is, just keeps taking
Oh, sure.
until we draw the line. That's amazing.
Well, yes, and then the other thing, as you were talking, you know, being in church all of my life, and sometimes when you go into Pentecostal church, you get a respect that you didn't get on the outside.
Oh, wow,
right.
yeah.
And so, you know, just to be identified as Pastor Connie or Pastor whatever, gave you that respect.
Right, right. Yes,
So
it
much
did.
so that, what's wrong with Connie? Don't you
Right,
respect it?
right.
I mean, I'm happy with
Yes,
her.
yes, yes.
You know, I had
yes.
to come to realize I'm really happy with her.
Absolutely.
And she has some value.
That's right, she does.
You know, and so so the more that, you know, he calls me Connie, the more that builds up Connie.
I know that's right.
That he sees Connie.
Come on now.
Yeah, you just triggered something I did 3 years ago, almost to this date next week. I got up in the pulpit and I said, no titles.
Yeah.
Sure
It was
did.
July 1st, 3 years ago. No more titles, including me. And people were struggling. But what I found out was back then that I needed people to know Craig.
Yeah.
not just bishop, because bishop's a title, and sometimes we wear it when we don't need to. You know, and people expect you to be that person all the time.
Right.
And for me to say, just call me by my first name, it was so respectful for me, and it said to me that I matter
Yes.
to individuals, you know. So, yes, thank you. You were about to say something, Pastor? Pastor?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have quite a few thoughts.
Yes.
One of them, you know, as Pastor Connie shared, I went back to Jairus' daughter. I went back to Lazarus. And arise and come forth. And this is a season where we're at, God is calling us to come forth as our
Yeah.
authentic selves.
Yeah.
As just Valerie, arise, come forth. You know, and that's when you get back to, I made you, you're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes,
So
yes.
you deserve for the world to be able to see who you really
Who you are.
So come
Yeah.
forth. And so
Yes.
for me, you know, the other piece of that is, I was sitting here and I was thinking, I had a friend say to me a couple months ago, and they said, you know, Valerie, this person is not good for your self-esteem. And that makes you pause, you know, because it's not what you want to hear, but it was a friend that and that told me the truth. It was what I needed to hear.
Yes, yes.
And what I needed to hear in that was that I was adjusting my boundaries for the sake of making sure I was pleasing in whatever way to this other person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing about it that here that I wanna leave us with this thought for me, which is not everybody deserves to be able to drive up to your address. Not everybody gets access to the house, to the rooms in the house, to the kitchen, to the bathroom, to
the
your
phone
bedroom, to
Right.
the phone, whatever rooms you have. Not everybody deserves access to you. And so we have to then define those boundaries. We've got to pause. So in order for us to rise up, we've got to set some boundaries.
Yes,
We've got to
indeed.
know who we are, and we've got to be comfortable in who we are, even if it means that I got to lose some people in my life for the sake of me.
That's right. And you know what? It's not up for vote.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we discover some
Yeah.
things about ourselves, we find that we'll go talk to people
Yep.
to get a buy-in or to see what they think. And not that it's not important what people think, but when you're doing a self-evaluation, it's not important what people think at that
That's
moment.
it. That's right.
Self-evaluation means you
Yep.
evaluate you,
Yep.
not everybody else evaluating you. I want to just clear this up by giving a simple definition about self-esteem. It's the confidence in one's own worth and abilities, self-respect.
Yeah.
And I said something Sunday, and we're going to go to Damien. I said something Sunday, and I meant it that way. I said, you really don't value you if you're still in an abusive relationship.
Yes.
You don't value you if you and another girl are sharing him. You don't value you.
That's true.
If your man calls you a bee or a hoe, you don't value you. It's not his job.
values are
He's
low.
who he is.
Yeah.
But it's how you answer, how you respond. You know, and sometimes I say this to women a lot because women oftentimes find themselves at the mercy of men who don't deserve them. And women oftentimes are asking, what's wrong with me? It's not what's wrong with you, it's what's right with you. Oftentimes when you're connected to someone who doesn't have anything really good for themselves, if they tend to be jealous of what you have and envy it, and they make it their goal to reduce you.
Yeah.
To reduce you down. You know, this is why he can live in your house and you pay the bills. Because it's reducing you. It's making you think you owe something. You know, and I often tell women when we converse about this, you know, I said, I can't tell you what to do to put him out or whatever, but I really think you need to re-examine what you think about yourself.
Right.
You know, the fact that he was over whoever's house and she won't come fight you, you know, what do you value about yourself?
Right.
That you won the fight or the man, or did you won your own self-respect?
Right.
To me, to get you back is the winner in the situation, not to
Yeah.
get him
Right.
or to get her running away from you. It's to get you back. It's to find a you that some kind of way, because of our growing up experience, etc., you didn't put this much value on yourself.
Yeah.
You didn't think you deserved better.
More.
Yeah, brother Damien, were you about to share?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go back to the first comment you made
Yes.
in the beginning when you said this is not about being spiritual. You took spiritual out of it.
I tried my hardest.
Yeah,
Because spiritual can really cover
Yes,
something.
it can.
Sometimes we can really,
it
really
can.
deceive ourselves because we're
Yes.
good at that.
Yeah.
We're good at, hey, yes, Lord, I'm more than a conqueror.
Yeah.
But tomorrow you depressed. You on
Yeah.
Facebook talking
That's
about,
the truth.
don't ask questions, just pray.
That's the truth.
Right.
That's another conversation for another day. Go ahead, sir. Yes.
So I'm in my marriage. I'm glad that my wife is more practical.
Yes, yes.
Because I had a tendency of not drawing the boundary from church to home,
Yes, yes.
and it can cause conflict.
Yes.
Because she's practical, I'm spiritual, but where is this practical? Because you can be so spiritual that you know
That
earthly
you-
good.
That's right. That's right.
And so I thank God that she is not spiritual as I am, because it wouldn't be a balance.
Or but maybe she is. It's just her way of relaying it. It's not as forward as yours. You know, because I find like with Cherie and I know she's very spiritual. But in terms of outwardly, it would look like I'm the more spiritual one. But if I be as transparent as Connie was about her and Melvin, my wife is the first one to go grab the oil and pray before I will. If I can be that transparent.
Yeah,
And, but
yeah.
but it's not because I don't want to. Sometimes when you've been burned out
Yeah.
from putting the oil on everybody else's head, you got to get you back so you can put the oil on your own family's head. You know, and so by me being so active in the church all the time, I found that coming home was a retreat from church.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but yet that meant boundaries need to be there because it should not stop your sense of spirituality
Yeah.
in your home. You know, yeah. This is good tonight. This is good tonight. I want to take us to one more point before we go tonight, and that is I talked about 3 areas of awareness. I talked about survival. We've talked about relationship, and we've talked about self-esteem. But we need to talk about survival. We need to talk about survival because a lot of people are living from pillar to post every day, just barely making ends meet. And it does affect what you think and feel about yourself. I think this is very important that when you do a self-evaluation, you not leave out the things that are the basics that you should have in life without worry. You should have clean air. You should have a place to live. You know, there's some things. And I'm not talking about a fancy place, but a place, a safe place. I put this out there for people who live in communities that are not safe. This is a struggle.
Yeah.
This is a struggle when, I have governmental agencies that consult with me often about the community. You know, you're a leader in the community. How do we spark our community? Well, one way of sparking the community is making it a safe community. Because when you don't protect the people that live in that community, what you're saying is their life is not as valuable as the guy who needs escort coming out the bar downtown. So you'd rather be downtown, give him a ride home, rather than to protect that old lady who can't get the guys to stop shooting dice on her step. And you want to understand why she doesn't think more of herself or her community. And it's because it's not a safe place. You know, we haven't made it safe for her. My wife always has this key word that she would say to me is, you make me feel safe. And safe means that I can trust,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, that you're consistent, these types of things. And so I want to talk about that for a moment. What does the survival piece look like for you when it came to your evaluation? What did you see that you maybe need to be thinking a little more about in terms of your survival? Because sometimes, as you all said, we're so selfless that we'll make sure everybody else is surviving, but we might be going down while helping them. You know, are you giving your bill money to somebody that could be doing a job of their own? You know, are you taking care of a grown son and daughter in your house that should be working and contributing so that you are no longer still doing that? These are the areas I want to talk about now, about survival, being safe, feeling like you have reached a level where you can buy some things you like for yourself. You know, you pay your bills on time. These are things now that I want to talk about for evaluation. Talk to me. It's quiet.
With that piece, I had to draw the line on how, when it comes to in the job, Mark, being, having a job, I tend to not put as much value in myself as I should, and accept what they offer
That's good. That's good.
versus looking at myself and say, you know, I can do a whole lot better than what this job is offering me now.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, and when I learned the different job titles
Mm-hmm,
and I challenged myself, I mastered something that I didn't know that was in me.
Look at that.
So I mastered that, and now, you know, I can go to the table and ask for more if I want, or
Look at
if
that.
not, I can choose to go somewhere else or work for myself.
Right.
That's powerful. That right, spot on.
Yeah, I
spot
had something
on.
to share about
Yes.
that because, like, I didn't know that success was gonna find me the way it did because I was always taken care of growing up, but you know, I was always told no to the things I wanted, you know, to buy and everything. But I realized that, man, I need to make my own money so I can provide for myself and I can hold my own. But the Bible says, meditate on the word day and night and you'll be prosperous in everything that you do.
Yes, yes.
And I didn't really, you know, take heed to that until I started making money. And then basically God taught me how to be wealthy. Because wealth starts in the mind, it starts in your identity, like what we said. And everything you do flows from what you believe.
Yes.
Everything I do now flows from how I see myself based on what how
That's
he
right.
sees me.
That's right.
And when we talk about relationships, I thought about, you know, we're married to Christ.
Yes.
Like that's who I'm married to before I get married. I used to date around. I was in relationships, and I stopped. You know, just going to every
Right.
girl who gave me attention because I realized that the one I'm married to, Jesus, he teaches me value as he cleans me with his word, and he gives me the value in me so that when I go out to do the work that my hands will provide for me, everything I do will prosper. So because of the one I'm with, thank you, Jesus. Because of the one I'm with, he sends me out to work, and I'm bearing fruit everywhere I go because of what I believe about myself, because he's giving me opportunities. But it doesn't matter what job I have, literally. It doesn't matter what job I have or what field I'm in. I realized that if I do not believe that I'm good enough, if I don't believe that, if I don't have a drive within me to succeed,
Yes.
a drive within me to be better, and to be prosperous, then I will never make like I started getting promotions when I started to believe what God said about me. You are the head and not the tail. Do you know what the head is? The head is the boss. You're the boss. You're the lender and not the borrower. But I didn't believe in that until I was the tail. I was the borrower. And when I thought when I was in a low position, but I had a mentality of a boss when you're in a low position. I started doing the little things so well.
Exactly.
Even though I didn't want to do it, because he taught me that if you do the little things, then I'll give you bigger things.
Yeah.
If you do little things, if you take care of this little car, I'll give you a bigger car. If you take care of your brother, if you take care of, you know, when I took care of my brother and when he was sick, I did not know he was preparing me to take care of people's souls when people were broken.
That's right.
Now I'm so careful with people, how to love them, how to take care of them, and how to not, like, Jesus. It's like he saw himself as so ugly sometimes because he had cancer nodes. I'm like, look, bro, you're not ugly, bro, you're sick. Some people aren't ugly, they're actually sick.
Yes.
And they need a doctor
Right.
who's willing to step in their place
Yes.
and to love them to life and to lead them in the way of healing, because I had to be healed to be the healing hands.
Yes.
But closing, like, just the value that he taught me,
Yes.
being the one who's closest to my heart, it gave me the confidence to give my heart away to the right person, that only he shows me the one he spoke in my life, so that when the right person comes and he sends that person, I can give them my value.
That's right.
Without feeling like they won't see it, or they'll like or they'll look past it like
Right.
other people have,
Right.
because he sent them.
Absolutely. Pastor Tanya?
Apostle, can you repeat your question or your statement?
Yeah, I was saying that when it comes to survival, and we're doing a self-evaluation. How fit are we to survive? You know, where are we? And you're a good one to ask this question too, because may I say, I'm so proud of what I've seen happen in your life. I mean, you are TV the real realtor, for real.
Amen.
I mean, you are moving and shaking, girl. But somewhere along the line, you had to take an assessment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And say, I want to be able not just survive, but thrive. But first, survive, because this is the basic level, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Absolutely.
That this is the basic level that we should all want to survive and to be safe and to have the basics. And but people are not getting there.
Yeah.
You know,
I-
go ahead.
I
Yes.
I would say, number one, thank you so much for that. I think
Sure.
it's interesting how right around the time you mentioned this was where we were going as a series, it began for me. And so when you said it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm right there.
Yes.
I'm sick of where I am right now today.
Yes.
Something different has to happen. I need to see me differently. There are things that are changing
Yes,
in
yes,
me,
yes.
and I'm not cognizantly recognizing what they are. And so I had to take a pause moment
Yeah.
on everything
Me
that
too.
revolved
Me
around
too.
me.
Yes.
And so from a survival perspective, I want to say, you know, my goods sometimes are not my goods, right? And so, yes, I'm thriving in the marketplace.
Yeah.
I love what I do.
Yes.
One of the assessments mentioned that I have that I seek to be there for others and be reliable for others so that they can benefit. That's a bonus for me.
Yes.
But it's also sometimes that place that I operate out of my survival mode
Yes.
because I feel like sometimes I don't have someone there or those around me or the
Yes.
ones that are in my life there the way I need them to be.
Right,
So
right.
sometimes I have a tendency to put my energy in others as a means to satisfy the
Wow.
piece that's missing for me. And so
Preaching.
I operate sometimes out of a survival mode, and it benefits me sometimes, but I also know that I begin to recognize that sometimes I'm operating out of a place of survival and not thrive.
Yeah, that's
And-
so good.
Yeah, and so I desire
That's
to
good.
continue to operate from a place where I'm not operating out of lack.
Right, right, right.
Not, and I'm not, by the grace of God, I'm not, I don't lack in finance. I don't lack in health. I
Yes.
don't lack in, understanding of who
Right.
I am. But there are some areas that I
Yes.
deem
Yes.
that are lacking. And so
Yes.
I compensate, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we compensate. If you don't have money, you will compensate. If you're not getting the love that you're looking for, you will compensate. That's what
Right.
Daddy's Girls was made
Right,
out
right,
of. Looking
right.
for love in all the wrong places.
Right.
And so we start to compensate. So
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we all realize that when it comes to survival in the times we're living in, it's easy to be in a house today and on the street tomorrow. Jobs can end, things can happen, but you have to take an assessment of what do you have as a backup. I think COVID said it all.
Yeah.
COVID hit. Who was waiting on that?
Yeah.
Did you have enough stash for a year and a half
Yeah.
to keep you going? And I think one of the things I want to stress about a self-evaluation is that you want to do more than just survive, because surviving does not mean that you are thriving, and you want to do more than survive. You want to keep putting away. Don't be lavish when you need to be wise sometimes, and so that you don't build your wealth or your reputation on looking like something, but that you really have a plan that's working for your good.
Yeah.
Yes, over here. Yes.
Apostle, as I was listening to you about survival, and I know that many times I have chosen to, quote unquote, live by faith.
Oh boy, didn't church teach us that though?
And
Woo.
the difficulty with that is, and it also can be a hindrance to some degree, because you're waiting, for God to do it, and you're waiting for Him to provide, and it gives you another opinion of God when that does not happen.
Right.
And so our confidence level is just, it's gone,
Yeah.
okay? And so, and then you start pointing at God and pointing the finger, whatever. And listening to you talk tonight, it came to me that God is not going to do it. Stop waiting on him. He's not going to do anything that you can do.
That you can do. Oh,
And that's what you are saying tonight.
Yeah.
Survival. You know, this is something that we can do. When
Yes.
I look at Tanya, who's very resourceful, multiple streams of income. You
Yeah,
know,
she
she's
one
like
of
an
my
engine.
friends.
She just keeps, you know, keeps it moving.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I would as well.
Right.
You know, and so for now in my life, survival for me looks like something else.
right. It does.
Yeah,
It changes.
It
Yeah,
changes.
yeah.
Yes,
And,
yes.
But, you know, even though the change has come, my mindset is totally different.
Sure.
I'm not saying, oh, God, I just believe you're going to provide. You know, I'm looking at this level where I am.
Right, right.
Basically kind of retired. You know, what else can I do? I have resources. I have skills.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
can I
you
market
do.
those skills?
Yes, they're-
You know, to make things happen.
Yeah.
This
You know,
is
so
so
that I
important.
can live,
Yeah.
you know, like my girl Tanya.
Yeah.
Multiple streams of
Listen,
income.
skills are transferable,
Tanya,
right?
Tanya.
Skills are transferable. Sometimes we take for granted the skills that we have
And the experience.
Yeah, exactly. Skills and experience. You know, think about when COVID hit. I never seen so many people come out the woodworks with. I have baking skills. I have braiding skills.
Yes.
I babysit. I
Yes.
make clothes. I this that and the third. I'm like,
I made
who
masks.
knew that all of these people had these skills? And so, you know, back to that survival piece, know that you have what you need to survive
Yes.
and then some.
Yes.
In the
Right.
Bible, it talked about the woman where, you know, they said, the prophet said, well, what do you have? Well, I only have these
What's in
vessels.
your house?
Take this and
Take
go to
this. Yes.
everybody
Yes.
and then
Relationship.
use it. Man, listen.
Come
It
on
was,
here.
I mean, so we have enough. We just got to use what we have.
Yeah, and you just preached this woman at the with the last morsel and all she said. All we have is this little pot of oil because he has her evaluate what's in her home. Then he has her evaluate her relationships. Who's willing to loan to her? And I think that's just as important. What collateral is in your relationships? I'm not talking about to use people, but in all sincerity, if you're all out in there in a boat. Is there somebody that knows how to patch the boat if there's a hole? You know, or are y'all going down together looking
Right.
cute? It's really important to take these kind of assessments of yourself before you determine where your lines are with people. Because sometimes you're drawing the line with the wrong person that you need to draw with someone else, you know, and you have to evaluate it on that level. Yes, sir, Damien?
Yeah, I love what Pastor Connie said as well, because the Lord taught me that if you, it's better for you to walk towards what you believe in me for than to sit and wait on what you believe in me for.
You just preached over here.
Yeah, because if
just
you sit
preached.
and wait,
Yes.
you're going to fall into a place of stagnation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And wrong expectations of God.
Yeah.
Yes.
That He does it all. He puts us in relationships that get it done. What were you about to
You'll
say,
find-
Pastor Val?
You know, I was just thinking about how Pastor Tanya just lit this place up just now. You know, I'm just thinking about how some of the decisions that you make, you have to ask yourself when we talk about survival. I've had to honestly ask myself, now, did you really need that? Or was there some motive there where you're not cutting boundaries where you need to? And so you're compensating for what you didn't say to people. Like, you know, that's all. I'm just, yeah.
You know, I'm hearing this. If there's a lack, there's a leak.
Wow.
I just heard that in the spirit.
Wow.
If there's a lack, there's a leak.
Yes, sir.
The supply that God has for you is escaping somewhere else
Yes,
through
yes.
some relationship, through some means
That's so
of
good.
blood
Glory to
suckering, leeching spirit attached to your life.
Yes.
If there's a lack, there's a leak.
leak.
He just
My
said that
God, my
to me.
God.
Good.
Ooh, Jesus. Okay.
Hallelujah.
And so as you're doing this evaluation, please be honest with yourself about what you value. I have more tests coming for you to talk about what kind of giver are you, what kind of person are you in relationships, etc. All of the things that help us to know how to draw necessary boundaries and realistic boundaries. That's the word I was looking for. Something that's real, that can be upheld, that makes sense to you, and that you and others can benefit from these lines being drawn. Drawing a line don't mean that people always will be cast away. It means that this line makes us better, because as long as we can stay within these boundaries, you enjoy the benefit of being in my life and vice versa. I want to encourage you to go to the church app and take the exam, or go to the website www.fscgb.org and take that exam. Look in your email for the results, and let's do the work. I want to say thank you to my team. It felt good to be here with you guys tonight. I just like popping in, and I knew with this series I wanted to come in and share with you as well. But I want to thank you, and I want to thank each and every one of you, the viewers who are watching, or those who will watch this in retrospect after tonight's recording. And if you, after watching this, desire to take that test, take the test. And then give us some feedback, what you got from it. Now, I was very cognizant of the comments, and I do want to say that we're going to pray right now for Verta Tasker. And we command now that your body align.
Yes.
And that your body obey the will of God for healing. We bind healing to your body.
Yes.
We loose you of this infirmity and this disease, and we loose you of the fear that accompanies it. In the name of Jesus, and we expect a great report. And we give God glory for the report in your life. We declare it done in Jesus' name. Amen. And now from me and the crew, listen, don't forget, tune in with us this coming Sunday for the next part of this message as we talk about the other 4 areas of awareness. The first 3 we've dealt with: survival, relationship, and self-esteem. And now we're going to start moving forward with put some gas to some pedal to the metal. Metal to the pedal. How you say it? Pedal
said
to
it,
the
pedal
metal.
to the metal.
That's right. That's right. Okay. And we love you guys so very much. It's good to see all of y'all on here tonight. I'm just tickled to have this little laptop and sit here and yell at y'all and say hello to each of you. But let me say this. If you don't know Jesus, this is a great time to get to know him.
Amen.
He's as practical as we're talking right now. And here's the good news. He's right there where you are. All you have to do is say, Lord Jesus, come into my heart. I need you. Change my life. Bring out the best in me. All right? If that's you today and you pray that prayer, I challenge you to reach out to us and say, hey, I prayed that prayer. What's next? We're going to take you to the next level, the next step. God bless each and every one of you. As Brother Kevin Harris says, y'all know how we do this. From me and the crew,
You matter.
If today's ministry has been a blessing to you, please stay connected to FSC through our social networks and download our church app on your mobile device. Also, you can watch us live anytime you like on YouTube, Facebook, and on our website. If FSC has been a blessing to you, sow a financial seed today. Your seed will further our ability to bring ministry to those in need. May God continue to enlarge your territory as you continue to demonstrate faithful stewardship. Want more of the word that you received today? Then join the conversation on Thursday as we present Thursday Night Fire at 7 p.m. Hear the many perspectives of your favorite teams as they break down this Sunday's message. That's Thursday Night Fire, viewable on all social media platforms. Want to dialogue with Apostle Coates? Simply drop him an email at bishop.fresh.church@gmail.com. He'd love to hear how this message is impacting your walk with God. Looking for a place to grow and prosper? Then you have found that place. Join the FSC family and be a part of the Church Without Walls. Simply drop your name and email address in the chat section during our live broadcast, or send us a message at fscgb.org. Simply go to the website and scroll down to the bottom of our homepage. Fill out the info and we will be in touch within 24 hours. Until next week, continue to stay safe and well.